guys, this is Julian from the Binary Lab, and today on this video I'm going to be discussing this topic that it's actually come up a couple of times inside of my group chat. Alright, as you know, at Binary Lab we have got a traders chat where our students exchange their trading, their thoughts on trading, like trading setups and let's say, you know, anything under the sun with regards to trading, right? So this question has come up a couple of times, and you know, it happened to me. It happened to a bunch of people, and some time or other it's probably happened to you. Alright, so before we actually go into what I suggest for you to do, alright, how many of you have actually experienced a situation whereby you know you want to trade, okay, but for some reason whatsoever the broker says that you lost it? Okay, if you have experienced that before, go ahead and comment yes down beneath this video so that I know that you too have experienced this issue before. So once again, the question here is, what do you do when you know that you want to trade but the broker says you didn't? If you've been a victim of this before, go ahead and comment below. Alright, and when you're commenting below this video in the comment section right now, I also want you to add as well, let's say, how did the broker handle this problem for you? Alright, brokers have different ways of handling this kind of a situation, and I want to hear about how the broker you're with handled your issue. So if you experience it at any point of time, let's say you're really sure that this trade should have won, or maybe it was a close call, and instead of rewarding you the profits for that trade, they gave you like a loss, a tie, or whatever windows, go ahead and comment below so I know that you have experienced this before, and I just want to basically and then once we're done with that, I'm going to give you my insights as well about this issue. Alright, so if you experienced that, go ahead, comment beneath this video right now, and do give me some thoughts on some facts on your case, like what you did. Did you send in the support tickets? Did you send in screenshots? And how did they reply, or did they even reply? Because there are some brokers out there that don't, and there's some of them they will, that they actually do reply. So what happens when you know that you want to trade, okay, but somehow it says you did it? I want to share with you some of my experiences with this kind of situations. Through the past 4 years of binary options trading, I've been with several different brokers, from unregulated to regulated. And okay, so Nuno Miguel, what happened when you send in screenshots? Okay, by the way, I just had that with them today as well, 24. So I want to hear from you guys, your experiences. I've had this kind of issues through the years with different brokers, like you name it, like Boss Capital, Trade Rush, Binary 8. Okay, Binary 8. I've had it with G Option. I've had it with Titan Trade. I've had it with. I haven't actually had it with ETX. So ETX didn't get an issue like that. So I don't know. I can't comment. I had it with IQ Option as well, the most recent one. So and I want to discuss with you what exactly you should do. All right, and so first and foremost, for those of you who just came in, about 20 of you just came in to watch this video, the topic for this video is that what do you do if you know that you want to trade but a broker says you didn't? If you experienced that before, go ahead, comment beneath this video. I want to hear about your experience. If you had that, comment below yes, and comment your actions as well, and what happened out of that situation. Did they refund you? Did they credit you back? Did they give you the profits, or did they ignore you and play hide and seek? Okay, so typically, if any of you experience such a situation where you think you want to trade, okay, the first thing that you should be doing is to actually take a screenshot. Okay, some of the brokers can be real assholes, and they'll say that a screenshot is not enough. They may say that it's doctored. Okay, most brokers that I've actually worked with will honor a screenshot. So the instance where there's a problem, when you see there's something wrong with your balance, this one. The moment you see that there's a problem with your balance, take a screenshot. When you see that there's a problem with your trade, take a screenshot. There will be times when the verifying trade goes on forever. Have you ever experienced that before? If you ever experienced that thing when, verifying trade, and then if you experienced that before, go ahead and comment below. Okay, these are the various things that I've experienced over the time. And then there's sometimes, very, very strangely as well, there will be trades that we know is obviously a 60-second or a 2-minute trade, but it still keeps running and running and running and running. And then you don't really know what's going to happen with that, right? Typical spot option issue. I've been on several spot option platforms in the past. Some of you maybe have been on some spot option platforms, and then you experience that when the trade is still, it's still running when it's supposed to be over. If you experience that, comment below as well. So, okay, but obviously there shouldn't be trades that appear when you didn't press them. If trades that you didn't make appear, that's totally something else. But I'm talking about here that trades that you're very sure that you won, okay, and then somehow I didn't win. So what you must do is take a screenshot. The second thing is that go into your trade history. Before you refresh your page, I always suggest you refresh your page to see if this is a genuine issue or not, because sometimes it could be just some kind of an internal issue, a JavaScript problem that maybe is already fixed. So firstly, screenshot the thing. Secondly, load it up again. Thirdly, you may want to try, if there's a mobile app, you want to access that broker's mobile app and go into the program and see whether on your mobile phone, which my phone is actually right here taking this video right now, so I can't show it to you. Check the mobile app whether the balance and trade history is updated, because sometimes the mobile server is a separate server from the one that you trade on via your PC or Macintosh. So like sometimes one of it may have the correct information, one may not have the correct information. Yeah, Carlos, I'm getting to that manipulation. Okay, so yeah, this video I will be talking about manipulation as well, because manipulation is a very, very important theme when it comes to the trades that obviously supposed to win but doesn't. All right, you ever had situations when that from a third party chart, maybe it's NetDania, maybe you're using TradingView or some other, or MT4, and then sometimes you see that your trade is obviously, if you did a put trade, obviously it's coming down, but for some reason on your broker's price feed is going the other way, going up when it's going down everywhere else. All right. If you ever experienced that, go ahead and comment below, because I want to hear from you as well. Okay, and so like I said, check in the mobile, because many times the mobile server of the broker and the desktop is on a different subdomain, and therefore you can have something different. So if the mobile one is correct, go and screenshot that again, so that you can say, hey, this is the trade I've done. I checked in my mobile. The mobile says this is right. I just want to verify that this amount of money should be in my account right now, and that this trade is supposed to be a winning trade. So obviously, when it comes to them, is that Ints Sinkovic? Is that how Ints Sinkovic? Is that how you pronounce your name? I'm not sure, but sometimes I don't know why this even happens on a demo account, because demo account is supposed to be for you to like a platform. So why would they screw it up? All right, but the pros and cons of this issue is that if it can happen on a demo, then it can surely happen on a live as well. Okay, so it's a very realistic experience. Like for example, in IQ option, IQ option, what happens is that sometimes they don't let the trade go through on demo, and then on live they also don't let the trade go through. So that's fair. All right. If let's say if they let the trade go through on demo but don't let it go through on live, then it's not fair. All right. But there are reasons for that, and I'll talk about IQ option in a bit as well. So I'm going to be talking about a couple of things here today. We're talking about what to do, and we're talking about second thing, like unprofessional ways that brokers may handle, and the proper things that brokers should do. And I'm going to be talking about my experience with IQ option and how they handle this as well. So the next thing I want to say is that you want to basically let your account manager or live chat know. Most of the time, all right, the live chat assistant is equipped with the power to credit you back for that trade. And the minimal thing that many brokers can do, by the way, I cannot comment on your question, Kobe, because I'm not a forex trader. I trade binary options. It's a faster way to make money. So basically about like I said, when you make a support ticket about this issue that I know I should have won this trade, but somehow it shows as a loss. Okay, the most clear-cut cases, of course, will be when the broker on the broker screen, when it shows your entry line and then the exit line. If you did a put trade and your exit is clearly lower than your entry, but somehow they said that you lost, obviously it's a server problem and they can fix that. But it gets a bit trickier when they say that when you're trying to argue that based on external price feed, let's say NetDania, TradingView, MT4, whatever, that on the third party external price feed is a win, but on the broker platform is a loss. Because truth be told, forex brokers, binary brokers, in fact any broker out there, all of these are so-called like parallel markets. The reason why no two brokers ever have the same price is because they're all they although they do get a certain price feed, but they can always run them slightly different from each other. So it's in a way it is kind of like a so-called made-up market. You are trading. I just want to clarify something with all of you guys. You are all trading against the broker, whether it is forex or binary. Okay, forex sometimes if it's ECN, they let it through to a main market, but many a time, at least the price feed, it's a made-up price feed. So, but what's important, okay, is that when you compare two brokers together, that there is always going to be some difference in the price. It can be anything between 0.2 pips to 2 pips. As long as they move the same way, that is good enough. All right. As long as it moves the same way, is good enough. It don't need to be the same. As long as it moves the same way and it moves together with the main price feed of something like Thomson Reuters. Thomson Reuters is a price feed provider. They provide for IQ option, by the way, and as long as it moves together with a main price feed, you can trade that. It's tradable. It's not as if they're against you or anything. But if you see that your binary broker's price is deviating from a third-party price way too often, then there's something's fishy. That's definitely manipulation. It's not that hard to find a good binary options broker, and I want to share with you some of the experiences that I've had when I had this. So basically, when I get this problem, when I know that I won the trade, but since I didn't, I take a screenshot. I send it to the live chats or the account manager. Most of the time, they have the ability to credit back. There are some brokers that are a bit dodgy, and then they will say that I need to relay to the technical department, and then a week later you say, oh, we're still checking on this issue. Basically, they're just doing the runaway tactic, and they just don't ever plan to have it fixed. Sometimes they're lazy, sometimes they just don't want to give money back to you. But the minimum that they should do, and most of the brokers, I would say that maybe 70% of the brokers that I've dealt with in the past actually offer back the capital of that trade. Whether it was supposed to be a winning trade or a loss trade, they offer back the capital for that trade. Okay, so that's getting back capital is definitely better. Getting nothing for the trade, but obviously, in some cases you lose your profit. You just got to be prepared to walk away from your profit sometimes. Now I want to share with you IQ options experience. So we had this a couple of times in the last 2 weeks. We had this twice. Okay, when the server was having issues, it was on a verifying. Okay, and then we know that the server got disconnected, so we don't know what happened to the trade. So we very quickly took a screenshot, and we were checking MT4. We were like, oh my god, this trade's gonna lose, but I can't get into the thing. And lo and behold, when like 10 minutes later everyone could log in again, everyone won the trade. When we look at MT4, look at NetDania, we know that there's no way this trade could have won, but it shows as a winning trade. And then there was another incident when like the trade was verifying for like ages. It was like an open trade on the sidebar of the IQ option. It was on the sidebar, and then it was open for a very long time. And then we know that it should have been a winning trade, and then some people took some trades during that period of time where the server was obviously playing up. So some trades shouldn't have won, but the funny thing is that the IQ option actually credited our accounts. Alright, I run two groups. I run a group for this English, we have 4,000 members in Binary Lab, and I also have a Binary Lab Thailand where I have like over 100 members right now. So In these two groups, we both experienced a similar situation during that time about 2 weeks ago, and then the broker credited everyone with, as though all these trades that were showing up wrongly as fully profit trades. So that was what happened prior to that was that I said take a screenshot, send it to the staff. So basically, we went on live chat, sent it to the staff, and the staff said, okay, we're having some problems with the system right now. Please check anywhere between 1 and 12 hours, and we'll probably have this fixed. Interesting thing is that they credited us for all the trades as though they're winning trades. So if you ever experience IQ option, if you're on IQ option, you experience that, go ahead and comment below, because it's not just a few people. A lot of people in binary lab have ever experienced this when the trade was supposed to be when the system was having an error, and they credited back full profit for both winning and losing trades. So that was pretty awesome. That's just great service that they're taking on that end. But let's say, all right, let's get back to the issues on manipulations. When you get a manipulation, or let's say if you get an error in the server, it is a good idea to stop taking trades, even though you are very tempted to. Let's say it's a great market, or perhaps you just are one trade away from hitting your daily target. It is a lot of us who trade. There are many types of traders. Okay, there are the people who have a trade by a daily target. There are people who are tradeaholics, and there are people who revenge trade. So whenever you get a trade error, this is a psychology part that we should talk about, because a lot of people, when you get either a manipulation, intentional or unintentional, or it could be an error on the broker's part, a lot of people have this tendency to take a couple more trades before reporting the issue. Actually, when you get such a problem, you should stop. I'm also guilty of this problem where I continue trading anyways, and then many a time I get more pissed than anything. So it doesn't mean that just because a broker has a good way of handling this means that you can carry on trading, because it can always turn out a different way. Like what if IQ option one day stop honoring all trades as profit, whether win or loss, during a point of server error, and let's say someone had that once or twice, and suddenly they see, hey, server error, let's take a whole bunch of trades and let's get some free money from the broker. What if one day they stop to honor that? You're going to be in trouble, right? So and at the same time, let's say I've been with many other brokers in the past where I had to manually follow up for all these errors, and it was no joke. It was a lot of work, and more often than not, it's unnecessary hassle that takes time away from you making more trades on the market. So when you see an error, you should stop, report the problem, and then let's say if you have manipulation, you should stop as well. I know it can be frustrating, but sometimes you take a bit of a break, find the next setup. Many a time, most people get very, very annoyed when you get a broker price verification error when it happens to be a very big trade. Okay, so I want you to understand that when you're taking very big trades, there are only certain times that when you should do it. If you haven't watched my previous video about money management, scaling, and forgiveness, I highly recommend that you go watch that video as well, because that's going to be a lot of good for you. But many a time, let's say by the way, have you ever had an issue where you are taking a big trade and then the server had an issue, either got you a really bad entry, got you a really bad exit, or let's say your trade just went on forever, didn't get verified? I'm going to just reconnect my computer, but go ahead and comment below if you had that experience. Alright, so if you ever had an experience where you place a big trade. Somehow the server went down, or let's say they marked it as a loss. Go ahead and comment below. These are the kind of trades that the broker is basically, okay, it may not be intentional. There are a lot of unregulated brokers out there that they do this to affect the psyche of the professional skilled traders. Okay, not necessarily professional, but there are some traders out there, like the traders in binary lab, who have proper skills of trading. And this could also be some of the traders out there who have traded other things, and then they've come to binary because they find that binary is a faster way to profit. And then suddenly they know that this trade is, is sure as hell to win, and then they put more money on that one, they lost it. Okay, what you need to do is that you need to basically stop, and then you need to find. A lot of people have this tendency to kind of like, when sometimes it's pride, it's ego, and then you feel that you really should have won something, but then for whatever reason you didn't win the trade, and then you just couldn't believe it, right? So there are the times that it's like, screw this, I'm going to make a broker pay for it. I'm going to put in the same trade size again, or I'm going to martingale, and that could have been a really big trade already. So let's say when I was just giving my students in binary lab a short little note on how to scale, right? I was telling them, if you get this and this condition, that's when you should scale. Let's say if you scaled it, alright, you could be maybe like 3%, 5% in for the trade, which you usually be doing 0.5%, 0.75%, 1%, and then you scaled it, and then you went in, and then the broker said that you lost the trade. Maybe they gave you a really bad entry, a really bad exit, or let's say their chart is moving opposite directions to a third-party chart. In these situations, or let's say the price went flat. Okay, if the price went flat, I want you to remember that the reason why you even scaled the trade in the beginning was because this was a really obvious looking movement that made you very, very sure that if you went to this trade, you're definitely going to win it. So if you are going to jump back in again, yes you can, but only when you see the next big opportunity. Alright, there are different kinds of opportunities inside the market that happen every day, from hour to hour, from minute to minute, and they're not the same. But there are big opportunities, and there are regular opportunities as well. So if there are the big opportunities, that the kind of ones that that boom, that's a sure win. When you go for those, you know that you can scale on those. But there are other ones that, let's say if you get a bit of a staircase market, okay, there's the kind of trades that are the good to have, but not, and there are trades that are the must-haves. If the trades that we on a good to have kind of a trade, or let's say if you went in on a must-have sure win kind of trade, and then broker says you lost, then the next thing that happens is that you look for any next opportunity to go in. A lot of traders do this. I do that too. I'm guilty of that problem as well, and that's caused me a lot of drama in my accounts in the past. I won't lie about that. So when you get that, you got to step back and remember that I'm not just going to go back in the markets again just because this is remotely like an opportunity. Yes, sure, it is an opportunity, but does this next trade warrant me putting in the same size as my scaled last trade? Let's say if I decided to go from my usual 0.75 to a 3% on my last trade, does this trade here look like it deserves 3%? Or heck, martingale 3%, maybe a 6%. Does that deserve a 6%, or is this just a regular 0.75% trade? Alright, so when you wish to do it again, please analyze and see if it's really what you should be going in on, or whacking it. You should be, whatever, or not. Okay, and then if it's not, wait. The next thing I want to share with you is that, let's say when you see the next big opportunity, you went in again, and bam, the broker had you snooped. When you measure in on your MT4 chart, and you saw, from top to bottom, from that movement, there was about 2 pips. There's no way in the world that you could have lost that trade. Alright, even if they gave you a 0.3 pip slippage, or 0.4 pip slippage on the entry and exit, and by the way, slippage in spread does occur when brokers try to make it harder for you to win. Some brokers set this in as their risk control. Okay, so I mean, it's a whole different topic. brokers do risk control in many different ways. IQ option, for instance, they do their risk control by preventing people by preventing too many people getting in on one trade in a certain way when there's an algorithm to kind of like see the outcome, right? So that way it prevents the broker from being in a position when they have to overpay. So let's face it, all brokers need to be profitable, right? But there are other brokers that don't have these algorithms that control the total orders coming in on for puts and total orders coming out for calls, and instead they start doing things like adding some spread or adding some buffer, all right, that makes it a little bit harder for you to win those trades. And let's say sometimes I have a video on this on my YouTube channel. Go look for it. I talk about a whole bunch of broker risk management. Search broker risk management, Julian Wong. You probably find it there on my YouTube. Okay, so similarly, let's say for someone who has been losing money and again on a binary options account, when a broker comes by, they say to give you some kind of help. What some kind of help can actually mean is that they actually put a buffer in your favor on your trades for a period of time to make you feel a false sense of confidence. All right, so I mean, this is like way off topic, but I just want to show you that these things do exist. Where was I? So well, FTs Nadex is just too hard to use. I mean, I looked at it; it's way too hard to use. For a period of time, wasn't available to me because I'm in Singapore, and then it became available. I looked at it; it's way too complicated. Well, there are a lot of platforms else of it, and you know, we had people trying to use binary lab strategies on Nadex, but it's just a whole different ball game. So I wouldn't even go there. Yeah. And what was I saying? So I was talking about. Damn, lost my train of thought. I was talking about where was I? I was talking about what again? Damn it, I hate it when it happens. I lose my train of thought. Okay, I think I was talking about trade. I was talking about like pursuing trades, right? So let's say if you lost one, wait for the next opportunity, and if the next opportunity the broker is playing you again, yeah, that's the correct thing. If the broker plays you again, and let's say, like I said, there's 2 pips, there's no way in the world you could have lost it. They're playing you again. Well, I think this is time to go to a different broker. All right. One thing I need to say is that sometimes a broker can have all the green flags, but sometimes I mean, they can be regulated. They can have a lot of good testimonials. They can have a lot of good public image and support and associations with people and associations out there. They're on a big scale, but from time to time it could be server issues, it could be deliberate, but I would say that if the same thing happens one time too often, then it probably isn't supposed to happen, and I think you would be wrong to continue to let it happen to you, because it's only going to lead to more frustration. It's going to lead you to more rash decisions in your trading, and it's going to take you away from trading in a very professional way, which we all plan to be trading a much better way. So if that's getting you, then I think it's time to just switch. I mean, you can always monitor before switching, because I understand that sometimes it can be a lot of hassle, and it also can be a lot of banking commissions when you move funds from one place back into your bank account before you put it in another place. That's downtime, that is hassle. So give them a bit of chance, lower your exposure on the trade, and test it. All right. Remember, like what I said in my previous video, I said test, scale, switch. Test it, and then if it's fixed, scale it back up, and then if it's not working, then you switch. Does that make sense to you? All right. So yeah, the buffers thing, that's really sickening. And one thing that I mean, I'm still a bit upset that IQ option has a max trade size of like 5,000, and you cannot always take these $5,000 trades, because most of the time the maximum liquidity for a call or put is less than that. Okay, so but one thing I like about it is that it does not seem as though they have these buffer kind of situations. Some people when they trade IQ and then they find that you're getting really bad entry or what, the reason for that is because you're not timing your trade correct. It may have been the case in the past, like when I once didn't like IQ option, but right now what I understand is that they operate on a next tick entry. Next tick entry means that if you like, let's say the price, what like this is the candlestick chart, but let's say there's also the line chart, and the line chart and the tick chart as well. Alright, these are the ones that kind of react only when there's activity in the markets, otherwise they just remain flat. So next tick entry means that, let's say if you click it now, the next movement, whether it's up or down, that's going to be your entry. So sometimes it can be in your favor, it can be against your favor, but let's say for it to be to be in your favor, I usually recommend taking your trade around about the last 3 seconds of a minute, or let's say right in the middle of a minute. So yeah, these flash jumps in your entries are the next tick entries. So most of the movement, if you haven't already noticed, happens in the first 5 seconds of a new minute. So and the last 3 seconds of a minute is when price is the most still. Okay, in case of news announcements, this can be different, but many a time this is the case. So when that is the case, you want to actually place your trade in the last few seconds so that you can catch the first few seconds. Alright, does it make sense? And then also, if I see that in the middle of a minute, the price is at a standstill, that's when I'll take my trade. When it's doing only when I'm seeing a little bit of a doji pattern in the middle of a minute, then I would actually take it right there, so that I know that the price is going to get me in at that price, or if not a better price. Okay, so by doing it this way, you're going to find that sometimes even if the price gaps up or gaps down, it's going to be in your favor when you're taking a trade. So someone had a question on how do I get questions on this thing, because I'm using a different phone. Crap, I can't see the questions. Swipe to... Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. Thoughts on trading OTC IQ options? Okay. OTC trading on IQ options is generally quite good. For most part, better than weekdays. Okay. The last couple of weeks, no thanks to Donald Trump, he's been making a lot of drama in the world. Conflicts with Korea, Russia, alright, and the trade policy changes that make people unsure about placing their investments in the United States has had some impact on the US dollar as well. And then last week we had the Toshiba shares in Japan filing their earnings report. Obviously there was a lot of concerns in South Korea and Japan. They're actually handing out flyers. Do you catch the news? Like CNN, they're handing out flyers to people. What happens if you see a big flash in the sky? They say you could pull your hood on, turn away from the flash and all that. So like the last 2 weekends, I've been seeing quite flat movements on the weekend OTC. Prior to that has been great, but generally, have a good look. When the movements are really tiny, you really have to be fishing for tops and bottoms. But if you see a lot of movement, then by all means trade it. Okay, so what I mean by a lot of movement is that for every minute, you should have about a fluctuation, a movement range of about 1.2 pips. That is a healthy range of movement within a minute. If you get less than that, obviously you have to either lower your exposure or change your trading approach. Let's say if you're having very little movements, it's not just a matter of method, because sometimes you may think I'm going to go from reversals to breakouts, but sometimes if there's no movement, there probably is no momentum as well. If there's no momentum, what's going to happen is that right after it breaks out, it's going to come right back in. So what's the point, right? So but having said that, one thing I do like about IQ option is that it's generally quite tradable on the weekend. If you compare that, if you look at my video on YouTube, I made a video comparing the binary mate OTC and the IQ options OTC. Ridiculous. So on binary mate OTC, there's number one, there's no charts that you can follow. Price runs like crazy, like 4 pips in a minute. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? The only time you get like 4 to 8 pips in a minute is during NFP, but you're getting that you know, on the OTC market on binary mate. So I mean, check it out. But generally, the good thing is that you have all the charts and graphing tools that you can use. Okay, let's see how I'm going to scroll this down. What's the number of pairs to focus on? Well, generally, I will, before I start trading, I will pick out 3 or 4 good pairs to focus on. And what I do a lot is, you know, in the binary lab, I give my members a correlations sheet. Okay, there are certain pairs that behave in opposites to another. And if you look in this page, I have a video on Forex correlation trading. It's called Forex correlation trading. Good, the Forex correlation training. Go check it out. It's in this page. Go to my video section. I have that as a video. And let's say if I see, you know, many times like yen pairs will all have a certain behavior, and like the Aussie pairs will all have a certain behavior. They may run opposite to one another. So if I'll tend to jump from a pair to the next. So generally, I could monitor just about 3 pairs, but from that 3 pairs, by playing correlations, I could jump to a lot of other things. Expert option, I can't actually, you know, comment much about it because I haven't tried it, but I do know that they use a similar platform to Olim Trade, and at one point in time, you know, I was actually approached to invest in that company to be like a co-owner kind of thing, but at a point in time, I was not too sold. That kind of a platform was very new in the market. They kind of created something that's based on but not exactly IQ option, and so I was like, you know, I was wondering if this is really going to take off, so I just kind of left it off. But having said that, I do know that expert option apparently allows OTC trading in countries in the EU where IQ option does not. Okay, IQ option does offer OTC trading, but based on certain regulations. In certain countries where OTC trading is not allowed, they don't actually show it as available. So this could be a temporary thing. Maybe it's going to be taken out from expert option in time to go when they hook up with different regulators. But I mean, who knows? So that's just some things I can comment about. And then what expiries do I commonly use for 1 minute chart? It depends. So I do different kind of methods. If I'm doing breakouts or reversals, it will be a different kind of expiry time. And obviously I look at the angles and the slopes in the charts as well and choose a different kind of time for the trade. Alright, so if you find it, by the way, if you find that this video is meaningful to you, you can actually go ahead to the top right. I think there's a button where you can click save, and you obviously could share it to your timeline as well, so you just keep track of this video so you know you watched it. I've got a lot of resources for people inside the binary lab. So let's say if any of you watching this video is looking to go pro in your trading, or just to basically find more people, more like-minded people to trade with, they are not just hungry for signals. Okay, sure, my senior traders in my trading group, some of them are like traderholics and they're trading around the clock. And yes, I'm actually teaching my strategies to you guys. So inside of my group. And there's this one notion that I want to debunk, because a lot of people have been wrongly assuming something. A lot of people ask me this all the time. They ask me like, you know, if you're such a good trader, which good trader out there actually shares the method with other people? Because isn't it going to make it harder for me to win? Alright? And I mean, this is like the dumbest thing I ever heard, because if it was Forex, obviously I wouldn't share my methods, because Forex is one of those things where, you know, a lot of people trading at the same time can actually move the markets. You know, why I mean, you would be thinking that how can a few people move the markets? Well, you never know. Sometimes some of the people in the group could be from, you know, the oil Gulf states, and they could be, and truth be told, we actually had a couple of, we ever had like one or two like oil multi-millionaires inside of the group. All right, just really low profile. I'm not going to mention names, but there are a couple of those people from like Dubai, like Oman. All right, some really really rich people out there. You know, they're far more successful in life than I am, and these people, they have the means to take really really big trades. All right, and they can actually move the markets in by doing that if they're on an ECN that's straight through the market. So, but in binary, what I wanted to say in a real short form, right? In binary, this is not affecting the open market. We are actually trading on basically based on what happens in the forex market. So to put it in a very crude sense, all right, binary options are basically you know, yes and no choices that you make, that you either win if you're if you're right and get nothing if you lose. And these are purely based on what happens in the forex market. So we are not affecting the forex market, and in doing so, there's actually no harm in me sharing what works for me with you. And as a matter of fact, if you come in and look at the webinars, well, it's really cool to see that on a day-to-day basis, a lot of people are winning when I'm winning, and some people who are a little bit more aggressive, they could be taking correlated pairs, 2 or 3 pairs at the same time. When I'm just doing one trade, they could be doing 3 trades and probably get 3 times the result of what I get in a single session. So that's the cool thing about binary. And you know, let's say if you're looking to learn some winning ways for the markets, go ahead and, you know, join the mailing list. It's theBinaryLab.net/sign-up, or just go to theBinaryLab.net or click on the sign up button on this page, and you can basically get into the Binary Lab as well. And I'm going to be wrapping up this video. It's been quite a while, alright? And if you have any other questions, leave your comments. I usually check my comments for a couple of days after I finish a video, and I hope this video has been useful to you. So meanwhile, once again, if you have been, if you are watching this on a replay, I want to thank you for spending your time watching this video, and I hope this is meaningful for you, and I hope you have participated, and thank you for participating in this video as well. Sharing your experiences. And let's say if you have been joining us late on this video, in the beginning of this video I actually asked a question, or let's say, have you ever been a victim whereby you know you won a trade but somehow the broker says that you didn't? So if you have such an experience, go ahead below and comment yes, and, you know, tell us about what happened, what you did. I mean, did you file a support ticket? Did you tell the live support? What was the response? And you know, I wish to know so that I can, you know, probably you know, have a better idea of what brokers we should work with and should not work with, and I can probably make another video of that for my YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't already done so, take the time after this video, go back to this video and just hit it, type it in the comments what your experience was, what happened, and you know, I want to hear about it. Alright, bye for now. Thanks for watching. Good trading.